So today we are going to be comparing the brand new EcoFlow Wave 2 to a ZeroBreeze Mark 2 in the ultimate portable AC shootout. Welcome guys, if you are new to the channel, my name is Riley Clark. I am an outdoor nature photographer based out of Las Vegas, Nevada. I primarily cover content about traveling the great outdoors and often create videos and content pieces about my time out as a nature photographer. But I also, from time to time, do reviews and video series based around outdoor adventure things. So if you like that kind of content, then please consider hitting the subscribe button down below. So how this video is going to work is I am both reviewing and also comparing these two products. To kick things off, we are going to actually just look at the baseline specs for these two products. From there, I have two different scenarios that I put these two products to the test through. The first is tent camping. This will be great for those of you that like to actually go out and camp in a tent, or maybe overlanders who are using rooftop tents on their vehicles. The second scenario is using it inside of a camper van. This is going to be great for those of you looking to air condition your smaller RV, or also those other van lifers out there. At the end of the video, I am going to talk to you guys about my findings and rate these two products using a point scale. Product with the most points at the end will be the winner. I'll also give you my final verdicts and thoughts on who these products are for, but I will say as a disclaimer that everything that I am saying in this video is my opinion, and I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other. I'm just hoping to give you guys all of the information that you would need to purchase a product like this. Another quick note is that I am not sponsored by either of these companies. I purchased both of these products with my own money. Nothing was sent to me. I didn't get anything for free. So I am a customer of these products. So this review will be completely unbiased. I do have links down below to the products. If you guys so choose to purchase through these links, well, they are affiliate links and a small commission will be paid back to me. Last thing before we jump in though, I will have all of the timestamps down below, so if you guys want to skip or go back to certain parts of the video, you can do so just by clicking those timestamps. Let's talk about the design of the ZeroBreeze. I actually am a big fan of the sleek, modern look that this has. I also really like this big briefcase handle on the top. I think it makes it really easy to carry around. So if you're going to be going a little bit of a ways from your vehicle to your tent, or you need to maybe lift it up into an area, this is going to be a lot easier to carry because of this big handle. So I'm a big fan of that. On the front, you have your power button as well as your fan speed buttons, and you have 4 different sections for you to choose from when you're selecting your coolness mode. So you have your air conditioning, a rocket cool mode, and a fan mode, so it's just blowing the fan. And then there's also a nighttime eco mode where it goes into its quiet mode setting. On the back, you have your 2 exhaust vents, but there is a unit that clips on the back, and then you can put your vent hoses in here so you're able to vent the exhaust out of the vehicle or out of the tent so you're not getting hot air inside. On the front, very simple. You have your out port. This is where also it has its digital reading in terms of telling you how much cold air it's pushing out, or the temperature of the air it's pushing out. This is also threaded for a vent hose as well. So if you want to use that to vent out or push that air somewhere specific, maybe run it into a tent or bring it to you if you have the unit set away, that is what this is for. On the back, you also have a drain plug. You get any condensation buildup, it will drain out. It does come with a hose. And then you also have your power plug there. So very minimalist, very sleek design for this. Put that to the side. You also have interchangeable batteries that you can use with these. These interchangeable batteries also come with a nice grab handle, which makes it really easy to carry and easy to move. I have 2 batteries actually for this unit, so they actually can stack on one another and not take up a bunch of space. And then if I need to change the battery out, it's easy for me to walk it over to the unit if I have it somewhere else, maybe charging or whatnot. The batteries themselves also have a 12-volt input plug. I believe that's for charging. I will throw that on the screen if so. There is also a couple different out ports for a USB Type-C and regular 2 USB ports. So you can charge devices and power devices from this battery as well as the unit itself. On the back is where the plug is for actually plugging the unit into the ZeroBreeze, the main unit itself. And attaching this is pretty simple. You just put it down, you can hear it kind of click in, and then you pull back and it locks. If I want to remove it, there's a yellow tab here. I would push that down and then slide forward and go off. So very easy to use, really easy to switch out the batteries. I'm a big fan of the design of this in terms of portability and ease of use in terms of changing the battery. I do have one complaint. The system that you use to connect the battery to the unit, as well as charging the unit, uses this 4-prong method with a little twist lock here. And getting that, sometimes when you plug it in and you go to tighten it down, it's a pain in the butt to get those threads to go. And sometimes it's hard to get it to pop back out. So it's nothing at the end of the world, but it's just a little bit of an annoyance compared to the Wave 2, which I want to now talk to you guys about that. So unlike the ZeroBreeze, the Wave 2 is more of a rectangle, I would say. Very nice modern look as well. It has an exhaust port on the top as well as an exhaust port on the back. And I already have the 2 plastic pieces actually mounted in, but these just pop off. And what this is it allows you to tie in their hose system onto the unit. So they have a locking hose system for the back and the front. And then there's another one that you can attach on the front of the unit for pushing cold air to somewhere specific. However, one of the things I really like about this unit compared to the ZeroBreeze is the size of the opening. This opening is a lot bigger and it's going to push out a lot more air. So I do like that, and it also has adjustability in terms of creating a different direction of a push. It's very similar to like what's in your car. There's a really nice digital screen on the top with a power button and mode buttons, and then different temperatures selections. On the side here, you have your AC plug for plugging this unit in. You also have a accessory plug. And the reason I'm calling this an accessory plug is they allow for you, they have different cables. There's one that you can plug this into a vehicle with, and then there's also a solar panel cable that you can get that you can plug their solar panels directly into the unit. The overall ergonomics of this though, this thing is a beast. It is heavy and it does take up a lot of space, and it has these 2 places to grab here, but it is kind of awkward to lug this thing around. I do like the design of the ZeroBreeze a little bit better in terms of being able to carry it around, but obviously this has some better specs than the ZeroBreeze, so there's a little bit more to pack in here. If you look to the size difference between the 2 units, the ZeroBreeze is a lot smaller than the Wave 2, and lighter. So the Wave 2 also has a spare battery system, and this is nice. It does give it a nice handle on the back, so if you wanted to carry this to the unit, if it's away from you, then it would make it really easy to do so. It's dirty on the ground because it's been out. But on the front, you have, behind this rubber seal, you have a USB type C and a USB type B port, and then your power button to power the unit on. So this can also power other devices. And then on the side, you have this really big plug port, which is for this. And this just goes in the unit and then plugs into the port on the on the Wave 2, pardon me. And that is how the battery will power the unit. So attaching the battery to it is also pretty easy. So it just kind of slides on and then clicks forward. And you can see it's locked in. And then the two pieces then punch into each other, and now you have power. Let me talk to you about one of my big gripes with this unit. Besides it being big and bulky, only way you can charge the battery is if you are plugged into the unit. So you can't just take the battery and go charge it on its own. You have to have it plugged into the unit to charge it. Now it can charge 4 different ways. It can charge from the AC wall plug, from just like an outlet or anything. It can charge through your cigarette lighter, a 12-volt lighter. It can charge through a solar panel. And then the big thing is they want you to be able to charge this through their power banks. So they offer a bunch of line of power banks that the battery also plugs into and extends the battery life of those power banks. But and power bank is probably not the right word. It's solar generator is probably the better word. So the design element, it makes sense in terms of business that they design this to work with their products really well, but they do kind of tie your hands in terms of coming up with other solutions. And my big gripe is I wish if I had a second battery or something, I could be charging it on the side. You don't have to charge it with the unit, because I can charge the ZeroBreeze by itself. So I can charge both of my batteries separate from the unit, which does make it pretty nice. Now the unit can run while you're charging it if you are running it off of the solar and off of the car outlet. It does kind of charge off of the AC outlet, but it depends on the amount of voltage and stuff it's taking. I'm not gonna even try to sound like an electrician, but the 2 ways that they say to charge it while using it is via the solar panels, which they recommend a 400 watt solar panel pack, or through your cigarette lighter while your car is driving. Let's talk about the specs of the ZeroBreeze. The ZeroBreeze weighs in at 16.5 pounds, and the spare battery adds an extra 12 pounds to the unit for a total of 28.5 pounds. It is a 20 by 10 by 11 inch size unit, giving it a long, sleek body style. Each battery has a 3 to 8 hour life cycle given which mode you are using. They take 6 hours to charge and has 8 ways to power the unit. The ZeroBreeze produces 2300 BTUs, can drop 20 degrees in 5 minutes, and cools roughly 25 to 40 square feet. And lastly, the unit averages 52 decibels when running, which is useful to know when trying to sleep. The base price for the ZeroBreeze is $1,149 US. The battery by itself runs $849, but if you bundle the two together, you'd pay only $1,699, which is a $299 savings. The Wave 2 weighs in at 32 pounds by itself, and when you add the 17-pound battery, you have a unit total weight of 49 pounds. The battery boasts an 8-hour lifespan in the eco mode and features 4 distinct ways to charge, and only takes 2 hours to charge the battery. The unit is boasting an impressive 5100 BTUs and can drop 18 degrees in 5 minutes and cools roughly 107 square feet. One side note is that the Wave 2 can also be used as a heater. In the heat mode, it produces 6100 BTUs. The Wave 2 has a range of 44 to 56 decibels. You can pick up the Wave 2 for $1,299 and the spare battery for $899, but if you bundle the two together, you would pay $1,799, which is $399 in savings. I'm gonna jump in here real quick, guys, just to say one thing. These products are not the same thing as your house air conditioning units. These products, listed as they are listed on the website, are designed to act just like your car's air conditioning unit. With that being said, I want to talk to you guys about my methods for testing. I tested these on full blast, as powerful as they can go in every scenario. And the reason I did that is there are so many different elements that go into cooling a vehicle or a tent and also keeping them cool. Since these are designed to just blow cold air and not really as a full HVAC system like you would find in your house, I felt like this would be the best way to check out the potential of these products. Also, by putting them at full blast, you get a better representation of power consumption as well as battery life and things like that. So I felt it was important to set clear benchmarks at the beginning based off of what these are and really what they are not. There's enough of that. I'll talk to you guys more about that during the testing. So let's get back to that. So I set up my testing using 3 questions. First, how long does it take to set up the unit? Second, how long does it take to push out 65-degree cold air on the highest setting? Both units are capable of pushing out colder air than this, and in fact, I set both units to push the coldest air they possibly could. I just needed to set a benchmark for the testing, and 65 seemed like the best number to use. And lastly, and most important, does the unit cool the space? In each scenario, I also used alternative power methods for charging and for running the units just to estimate how long that they would last in the field. And with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the first testing scenario, which is tent testing. When setting up for the tent, it only took me 57 seconds to set up the ZeroBreeze. The ZeroBreeze clocked in at 4 minutes and 47 seconds to push out 65-degree cold air. And last and most important was the test to see if it actually cooled the tent, which it did. Next was the Wave 2. The Wave 2 took me 55 seconds to set up, but I was surprised to see that it never reached 65 degrees in a 10-minute span. I'm certain that if I waited longer, it was going to push that 65-degree air, but I felt that the 10 minutes was a safe cutoff. But the most important thing for me was if the Wave 2 could cool the tent, and in 96-degree weather, it was successfully able to do so. I did do a second test later on with the Wave 2 by setting it up inside of the tent and using the exhaust tubes to vent the hot air back out of the tent, and this time it was able to push the 65-degree cold air, and since the unit was inside, I was able to use that larger opening and the actual vent fans to circulate the air, and this made it a lot nicer. The last part of the test was to see if I could charge and run these units using my Jackery 1000 I've had for a few years. With the ZeroBreeze, the Jackery can run it no problem. It was operating at roughly 200 watts of output capacity. I did have 200 watts of solar plugged into the unit, but they were not being as efficient with the input, so the battery life would definitely be affected over time. When charging the battery only, it was operating around 140 watts, which is definitely achievable to charge the solar panels hooked up to the unit without touching the battery life. The unit could run the Wave 2, but the batteries would not last very long. It would definitely be beneficial to look into one of Eccoflow's larger solar generators just so you could run the Wave 2 and also give yourself the opportunity to charge a second battery with the solar generator while not running the unit. The next test was to see how these units performed in the van. The setup for the ZeroBreeze was pretty simple. I just took the 2 back hoses and had them draped out the passenger window, and then I propped the unit up on a box, which only took me about 1 minute and 53 seconds. For the second test, it took the ZeroBreeze 4 minutes and 14 seconds to push 65-degree cold air, which is very similar to what we saw in the tent test. Lastly, the most important question, does it cool? And unfortunately, this is a no. It does push cold air on you and can definitely help take off the edge from the heat, but in terms of making the space comfortable, it really didn't do so. So onto the Wave 2, which has its own specialized way of setting up with this custom window vent made by TerraWagon, and it took me only 2 minutes and 53 seconds to set this up. It took the Wave 2 an impressive 2 minutes and 59 seconds to push out 65-degree cold air. And lastly, yes, it can cool the van. Even in 96-degree weather, it was able to make the van completely comfortable within a reasonable amount of time. The next part of the test was to see the power draw it had on my house batteries. The ZeroBreeze only pulled an average of 10 to 13 amps when running on full blast, and to charge the battery only, it was pulling around 8 amps. The Wave 2 pulled initially a peak of 60 amps to fire the compressor, and then leveled out shortly after to 26 amps on average on full blast. Charging the battery pulled 63 to 65 amps constantly, which would definitely take a toll on my 600 amp hour battery bank, so I would want to do more testing in the future to see how far I would drain my batteries down with the estimated 2-hour charge time that they talk about on the website. The first scoring category that I used is on the basics of the units. I scored on portability, power sustainability, the loudness, design features, and of course, the general performance. For portability, the ZeroBreeze takes this in a landslide. Not only is it lighter than the Wave 2, even with its battery attached, the design of it makes it a lot easier to carry around. As for power sustainability, the ZeroBreeze also takes another point here. The reason for me is the fact that I can buy multiple batteries and charge one of them separate while using the other one with the unit. This means that I can keep my unit running all the time while also keeping my batteries up to date. For the loudness factor, both were not annoyingly too loud, and I didn't really do any extensive testing on this except for making a mental note of what they sounded like, so there's no clear winner here, so I give both each a 1 point. For design features, like I mentioned earlier, I do like how the ZeroBreeze is designed. However, the Wave 2 is winning this category all because of their phone app. It is very intuitive and makes controlling the unit from a far distance really easy. The ZeroBreeze does come with a remote, but the functionality that the app brings gives the Wave 2 the edge. I also like the design of the tubing for the Wave 2, as it has this locking ring system, which gives a more premium feel than the ones you get with the ZeroBreeze. And lastly, the Wave 2 has a built-in way to power the unit off of solar, which makes the battery life charging issues it has less strenuous. The last in this category is performance, and it's a no-brainer that the Wave 2 takes the point here. It has more than double the BTU output that the ZeroBreeze has, and with the larger vented opening, you are able to cool a space a lot quicker by circulating the air. Also, the fact that the battery sports the same battery life as a ZeroBreeze but only takes 2 hours to charge, that makes it a no-brainer for me. So going into our first testing scenario, I'm going to award a point to each for the tent setup. Although the Wave 2 took shorter to set up by just a few seconds, I felt that this could have been more human error than the actual speed of the setup. And since each unit is pretty much set up the same way with a vent run into the tent, I don't think there is a clear winner in my opinion. The Wave 2 failed to push 65-degree air under 10 minutes, and since the ZeroBreeze pushed 65-degree air in 4 minutes and 47 seconds, it was clear to me that the ZeroBreeze earned this point. Even though I did a second test later on with the Wave 2 by putting it inside of the tent, and in this scenario it hit all of the marks and also cooled the tent quicker, I didn't feel that this was a fair judge, since both are marketed as setting up outside of the tent when in this scenario. And for the cooling test, I'm awarding both a point since they both successfully cooled the space and made it comfortable to be in. Next was our van testing, and the ZeroBreeze was definitely faster to set up. But since the Wave 2 has this really cool and unique system to set up with, I went ahead and gave them the point. You can definitely make these types of window vents on your own, but the quality that the TerraWagon piece has with the locking element, just like you have on the back of the Wave 2, made it a no-brainer for me. The Wave 2 also takes the point for pushing out 65-degree cold air, as it did it in half of the time it took the ZeroBreeze to. And lastly, the ZeroBreeze failed to cool the van, whereas the Wave 2 was definitely able to cool the space, so it also gets a point there. The last and final thing I scored on was price. The ZeroBreeze is cheaper than the Wave 2 by only $100. It's easy to look past this because the performance abilities of the Wave 2 are so much further along than the ZeroBreeze, and the fact that you save $399 compared to $299 when you bundle it with the battery. Each of these units have their own hidden costs associated with them though. You have to find a way to keep the unit charged or powered to keep them running. The EcoFlow ties your hands in terms of charging their battery separate from the unit, which means that you can only shop their product lines. The ZeroBreeze allows for you to charge the battery separate from the unit, and since they have a significantly less power draw than the Wave 2 batteries, it opens up more possibilities in terms of finding a charging solution. The last thing to talk about is the fact that the Wave 2 does outperform the ZeroBreeze, and it's only $100 more expensive. Now, in my opinion, I think this means that the ZeroBreeze is a touch overpriced, but with all of that being said, I am calling this portion a tie since I don't really want to waver you in any decision on buying. I just want to give you the information that I have. The final score is the ZeroBreeze at 7 and the Wave 2 at 9, which makes the Wave 2 a winner in this competition. That's it. That's the final verdict. Except, I do have a couple of thoughts I want to share with you guys. I think it's important to note who benefits from either of these products. Although the EcoFlow outperformed the ZeroBreeze did hold its own in certain areas. I wanted to take a quick second and talk to you guys about who I personally think that these products are for and how I would personally use them moving forward. The ZeroBreeze, I think, is great for your overlanders and your tent campers. The ease of use in terms of carrying it around, the battery life, being able to charge batteries separate from the unit, and also the fact that it can perform inside of a tent makes it, I believe, perfect for overlanders and tent campers. If you have a larger space and you have more air conditioning demands, the EcoFlow is definitely for you. I would say this is perfect for van lifers and RV campers. I would go ahead though and make sure that you have some other sort of ventilation inside of your vehicle. Like our van has 2 rooftop vents. So when I had those fans going to suck all the hot air out, plus pushing the AC with the Wave 2, I was able to make that van very comfortable. I also tested both of these in 96-degree Fahrenheit weather, at probably 0% humidity because I live in the desert. So take that for consideration as well. I do not think that these could keep up with 100+ degree weather. I just don't think they have the power to produce that amount of air conditioning coolant. But for me, I want to get away from the heat. So when I go out to the outdoors, it is to get away from the heat. So I'm up in the mountains, and the hottest I'm usually in is maybe high 90 or mid 90s. So again, take that with a grain of salt, because going back to what I talked to you guys about what these are and what they are not, these are like your car air conditioning unit. They are meant for portability and also longevity in terms of staying off of your power grids with their own self-built power systems. Rooftop mounted ACs produce a lot more BTUs, but they come at a cost for power draw as well as rooftop space. The fact that you can keep these in your vehicles during the short season that you might actually need them, I think these are a no-brainer for me in terms of how I would want my vehicle to be. Well, thank you guys for watching this week's video. If you guys liked this video and learned something new, then please consider giving it a thumbs up down below. Also, please subscribe if you are not already, and come and hang out in future videos. Lastly, drop a comment down below on which one of these products would best suit your needs, and also any other questions that you might have that I didn't cover in this video. It's holiday season in the United States, which means that you probably could get some discounts on these products, so you might be able to save a dime here or there. Now, we cracked 900 subscribers not too long ago, and we're inching towards that 1,000 subscriber number that I was hoping to hit by the end of the year, and we might hit it by the end of July. So thank you guys for those who have subscribed, and also thank you to those new ones watching the video. I will see you guys in next week's.